August 23, 1942. Airso for 47 hours, Stalingrad, Soviet Union. Ivan Kulik's finger rested on the trigger. Through his scope, a German major adjusted field glasses 680 yards away. Wind 4 Versauber northwest. Temperature 7°3°. Kulik's breath slowed. In the Ural Mountains, he'd hunted elk at 900 yards. Now he hunted men at half that distance. The Mosin Nagant kicked against his shoulder. The major dropped. Kill number 187. His spotter, Sergeant Dmitry Volkov, marked it in a leather notebook. 3 today. Command wants us back by 0600. They ran. German retaliation came fast. 80mm mortars, standard counter-sniper doctrine. Kulik and Volkov sprinted through the ruins of a textile factory. Behind them, explosions chewed through concrete and rebar. At 2 hours, they reached the extraction point. Empty. The schoolhouse stood hollow, windows blown out, walls riddled with bullet holes. "Where's our team?" Volkov scanned the street. Kulik checked his rifle. 5 rounds. His Tokarev pistol had 8. Not enough. Engine noise. 3 trucks approaching from the east. They moved to the basement. Kulik pressed his back against cold concrete, rifle aimed at the door. His heart hammered. Somewhere in the Urals, his wife Maria was waiting for a letter that would never arrive. Their son Alexei, 3 years old, would grow up asking questions Kulik couldn't answer, not because he died in battle, because he'd been careless. 20 German soldiers entered above. Kulik counted boots through ceiling cracks. Wehrmacht, 71st Infantry Division markings. But the voices were wrong. Ukrainian, not German. Forced conscripts. Men from occupied territories pressed into service at gunpoint. Kulik knew the tactic. Germans used them as expendable frontline troops. One soldier descended the stairs. Young, maybe 19. His eyes locked with Kulik's. 3 seconds. Neither moved. The Ukrainian shouted, "Higher! Im Keller!" The basement erupted. Kulik fired twice. 2 German officers fell. Volkov emptied his magazine. 4 more down. Kulik swung his rifle toward the stairs, but a boot connected with his jaw. His vision whited out. When he came to, hands were dragging him up the stairs. Blood ran into his left eye. He turned his head. Volkov lay at the bottom of the stairs, skull caved in, blood pooling black on concrete. His spotter was dead. 0537 hours. Kulik regained full consciousness in the back of a truck. Wire cut into his wrists. 8 Ukrainian soldiers surrounded him, rifles pointed but hands shaking. They were terrified of something. Not him. A German major approached. Tall, mid-40s, gray eyes, immaculate uniform despite the heat. He spoke Russian without accent. "You killed Major Steiner this morning. 3 other officers this week. 17 this month." He held up Volkov's leather journal. "Impressive documentation. 187 confirmed kills." Kulik said nothing. Blood dripped from his chin. "I am Major Kurt Miller, 71st Infantry Division. You are now a prisoner of the Wehrmacht." Miller's face remained neutral, professional. "Ordinarily, snipers are executed immediately, but I have use for you first. Then use me and get it over with. Tomorrow, or to 600 hours." Miller gestured to the Ukrainian soldiers. "These men failed to maintain perimeter security this morning. Because of their negligence, you killed Major Steiner. Tonight, they guard you. Tomorrow, they witness your execution. Consider it educational for their next assignment." The Ukrainians' faces went pale. The truck drove 40 minutes to a German field command post, a commandeered farm outside Stalingrad. Kulik was thrown into a cellar. The 8 Ukrainian guards followed him inside. The door slammed. Darkness. Kulik leaned against the wall. His head throbbed. Volkov's face flashed in his mind. The moment the rifle butt connected, the sound of his skull cracking. 13 months they'd worked together. 187 kills. Volkov had saved his life 4 times. Now Volkov was gone, and Kulik would follow him by dawn. Across the cellar, one of the Ukrainian soldiers spoke in Russian. His voice was quiet, careful. "Are you the sniper? The one who killed 187 Germans?" Kulik opened his eyes. The soldier was young, early 20s, thin frame swimming in a Wehrmacht uniform too large for him. His face showed no triumph, only exhaustion. "Yes." The Ukrainian nodded slowly. "My name is Stepan Koval. I'm from Lviv." He paused, glancing at the door. "The Germans came to my village in October 1941. They lined up every man between 18 and 40. They said we could join the Wehrmacht, or we could dig our own graves. I had a wife, a daughter, 8 months old. His voice cracked. I chose to live. Maybe that makes me a coward. Kulik stared at him. It makes you a father. Stepan's eyes glistened. He looked away. Another Ukrainian soldier spoke from the corner, older, maybe 35. Tomorrow they shoot you, then they send us back to the front. We die there, or we die here. Either way, we're dead. Kulik pressed his forehead against the cold stone wall. 12 hours until execution. Volkov was dead. Maria would become a widow. Alexei would grow up fatherless. 187. Germans dead, but tomorrow the war would continue without him. But Stepan Koval's face stayed in his mind. The exhaustion, the fear, the desperate calculation of a man trying to survive a war he never chose. Kulik had 12 hours. 12 hours to either die quietly or to do something that might matter more than 187 kills. He lifted his head. Stepan, how many of you in this battalion are Ukrainian? Stepan glanced at the others. Maybe 180 out of 300. Why? Because I want to tell you something. Something the Germans don't want you to know. What? The truth. 1847 hours. 9 hours until execution. Kulik sat with his back against the cellar wall. 8 Ukrainian soldiers surrounded him. Above, German voices carried through the floorboards, radio chatter, footsteps, the machinery of occupation. Stepan Koval leaned forward. What truth? The older soldier Andrei spat. He'll say anything to save himself. He's Soviet. I'm dead at dawn regardless. Kulik met each man's eyes. 8 rifles, German sentries above. I'm not escaping, but you might. How? Stepan asked. By knowing who you're really fighting for. Kulik paused. You're from Lviv, October 1941. The Germans promised liberation from Stalin. Is that what they told you? Stepan nodded slowly. Did they mention July 1st, 1941? 3 days after taking Lviv? Kulik's voice stayed flat. Petlura days. German Einsatzgruppen rounded up 7,000 Jews and Ukrainian intellectuals, professors, doctors, teachers, shot them in Brigadkai prison courtyard. Andrei stood. Soviet propaganda. Then ask your officers about Einsatzgruppe C. They won't answer. Exactly, because it's true. Kulik leaned forward. September 29th, 1941, Babi Yar ravine outside Kyiv. 3,771 Jews murdered in 2 days. Not soldiers, civilians. A younger soldier, Taras, shifted his rifle. The Germans said they were fighting Bolshevism, liberating us from Stalin. Stalin is a monster. Kulik didn't hesitate. I won't lie about that. The NKVD murdered thousands. The Holodomor starved millions. My wife's family is from Kharkiv. Her grandfather died in 1933 from Stalin's policies. The Ukrainians exchanged glances. A Soviet sniper admitting Stalin's crimes. But the Germans aren't liberators. They're exterminators. Kulik's voice hardened. How many Ukrainians were in your battalion when you joined? Andrei hesitated. 240. How many now? About 180. Where did the other 60 go? Silence. Stepan spoke quietly. They died. In combat. That's what we were told. Did you see the bodies? Stepan shook his head. June 1942. Kharkov. The German army executed 3,000 Soviet POWs, mostly Ukrainians. Taras's hand trembled. POWs are soldiers. That's war. They were kneeling, shot in the back of the head. Some wore Wehrmacht uniforms. The silence deepened. Kulik continued. I found the pit in July. I counted bodies, 847 of them. Some had dog tags, German dog tags, Ukrainian names. Andrei sat back down slowly. His face had gone pale. You think Major Miller sees you as comrades? Kulik's voice softened. You're Untermenschen, subhumans. That's the German word for Slavs. Tomorrow, you'll watch me die. Next month, you'll die too. The Germans will send you into a fight you can't win. When you're dead, they'll conscript more Ukrainians to replace you. Stepan pulled a photograph from his pocket. Creased, worn. A woman holding an infant. My wife, my daughter, 8 months old when I left. I haven't seen her in 11 months. What's her name? Kulik asked. Oksana. My daughter's name is Oksana. Then survive for Oksana. 1954 hours. 7 hours until execution. The questions came faster. Kulik answered with dates, locations, numbers. Not propaganda. Facts. The Ukrainians argued, challenged, doubted. Kulik never raised his voice. At 2047 hours, boots thundered on the stairs. The cellar door crashed open. Major Miller descended, flanked by 2 German soldiers. A Wehrmacht sentry followed behind him, face nervous. Touching conversation. Miller's Russian was flawless. Herr Feldwebel reports you've been quite talkative, Soviet sniper. So someone had been listening. Kulik met his eyes. Afraid of what I might say. Bored by it. Miller turned to the Ukrainian guards. You 8, upstairs. Now, you're relieved of duty. The Ukrainian stood slowly. As Stepan passed, his eyes met Kulik's. Something had changed. Not trust. Doubt. 4 German soldiers descended to replace them. No more Ukrainians. Miller had closed the breach. But it was too late. 2200 hours, 4 hours until execution. Kulik closed his eyes. Volkov was dead. At dawn, he'd follow. Maria would mourn. Alexei would grow up fatherless, asking questions about a father he'd never remember. But upstairs, something else was happening. Upstairs, barracks. 22:15 hours. Stepan sat on his bunk staring at Oksana's photograph. Around him, the 7 other Ukrainian guards lay in their bunks, none speaking. Andrei paced. He's lying. Soviet propaganda. All of it. Taras stared at the ceiling. Then why did Miller stop him? If it's lies, why not let him talk? Because Andrei stopped. He had no answer. Another soldier, Mikola, spoke from the corner. My brother disappeared in May. Transferred to another unit, they said. I asked where. They never answered. Soldiers die, Andrei said, but his voice had lost conviction. Stepan touched Oksana's face in the photograph, her eyes like his wife's. What if he's not lying? Then we're already dead. Taras sat up. If the Germans are killing Ukrainian soldiers, if they see us as Untermenschen, then we're corpses waiting to happen. So what do we do? Mikola's voice was barely a whisper. Desert? The Germans hunt deserters. Cross to the Soviets. The NKVD shoots traitors. Stepan put the photograph away. We have 4 hours to decide. Silence. Outside, through the barracks window, the night was clear. Stars above Stalingrad. Somewhere in Lviv, his daughter was sleeping, or crying, or already gone. Tomorrow at dawn, they'd stand guard while Germans shot a Soviet sniper. And then nothing would change. They'd go back to the front. They'd fight. They'd die. Or maybe they wouldn't. Stepan lay back on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. 4 hours until dawn. 03:27 hours, 2 hours, 33 minutes until execution. Kulik wasn't sleeping. German guards rotated every 4 hours. He'd been counting. At 300, fresh sentries descended. Young conscripts barely awake, rifles held like they weren't sure which end fired. One guard sat on an overturned crate near the door. 3 others stood at intervals. Standard procedure. But tired men made mistakes. Kulik tested his wire bindings. Still tight. Blood circulation gone. If he survived the next hour, unlikely, he'd lose both hands to gangrene. Above, boots moved across floorboards. German voices relaxed. They thought the night was over. The dangerous Soviet sniper was contained. At dawn, problem solved. 04:03 hours. The cellar door opened. Footsteps descended. Not German boots. Lighter, quicker. Stepan Koval appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Behind him, Andrei and Taras. The 3 Ukrainians who'd listened 6 hours ago. The German sentries turned. Was Maxdu here? Stepan spoke German fluently. Major Miller sent us. The prisoner needs interrogation upstairs. The lead guard stood. We received no orders. Communications breakdown. The major wants. Stepan shot him. Suppressed Walter P-38. The sound was a dull thump. The other 3 Germans reached for rifles. Andrei and Taras fired. 3 bodies hit concrete. Silence. Then footsteps above. Someone had heard. Stepan cut Kulik's bindings. Can you walk? Kulik's wrists screamed as circulation returned. What are you? Move! Stepan hauled him up the stairs. The farmhouse above was dark. Yearso 4:07 hours, most of the battalion asleep. Stepan led them through a storage room toward a back door. The door ahead burst open. A German sentry stood framed in moonlight, rifle raised. Alarm! He shouted. Andrei fired. The sentry dropped, but the shout echoed. Lights blazed across the farmhouse. Voices. Running boots. Run! Stepan shoved Kulik forward. They sprinted across open ground. Behind them, gunfire. Bullets tore through the night. Kulik's legs wouldn't cooperate. 13 hours bound had destroyed his circulation. He stumbled. Stepan caught him. A Ukrainian behind them. Mykola screamed, hit in the leg. He went down hard. Taras stopped. "Leave him!" "No!" Taras grabbed Mykola under the arms, dragged him forward. More gunfire. The German battalion was waking. Kulik could hear Major Mueller's voice shouting orders. Organized. Professional. They had maybe 2 minutes before Wehrmacht pursuit caught them. 50 yards, 70, 100. They reached a destroyed barn, the rally point. 5 more Ukrainians waited inside. 8 total. 8 deserters and 1 Soviet sniper. "That's everyone," Stepan gasped. "Now what?" Kulik checked Mykola's leg. Bullet through the calf muscle. Bleeding badly but not arterial. "Tie it off. We move in 3 minutes." "He can't run." Then he crawls. German patrol trucks are 2 minutes behind us. They moved east through farmland. Dawn approaching. 14:09 hours. 91 minutes past Kulik's scheduled execution. Behind them, vehicle engines, searchlights sweeping the fields. At 05:12 hours, they reached the German forward positions, trenches, machine gun nests, observation posts. Kulik counted 8 sentries visible, more hidden. "We can't go through," Andrei whispered. "We go around." Kulik pointed north. "Drainage system, half a mile. Germans don't patrol it because it's flooded." "How deep?" "Chest high when I used it last year. Maybe deeper now." Stepan looked at his men, all exhausted. Mykola bleeding through bandages. "We'll drown. Or stay here and get shot." They moved north. At 05:41 hours, they found it. A concrete tunnel partially collapsed, water flowing through. The opening was 4 feet wide, hidden by overgrown vegetation. Kulik entered first. The water hit him like ice. Deeper than he remembered, it reached his neck. Behind him, the Ukrainians followed. Stepan kept his rifle above water. Taras helped Mykola, whose wounded leg left a thin trail of blood in the current. Inside the tunnel, darkness was absolute. They moved by touch, hands on concrete walls, feet searching for solid ground. The current pulled at them, strong, getting stronger. 50 yards in, the youngest Ukrainian, Petro, stopped. "I can't, the walls. I can't breathe. Keep moving." Kulik grabbed his arm. "They're closing in." Petro's voice rose toward panic. "They're not. It's in your head. Focus on my voice." Behind them, splashing, German voices echoing through the tunnel. "They're in the tunnel," Taras hissed. "How far back?" Kulik asked. "Maybe 50 yards." Not enough distance. The Germans would catch them before they reached the exit. 100 yards in, the current surged. Kulik's foot slipped. He went under. Water filled his mouth, nose, lungs. Hands grabbed him, pulled him up. Andrei. Move, sniper. 150 yards. The water was chest deep now. Mykola was fading. Blood loss and cold water. Taras carried him, one arm around his waist. 200 yards. Behind them, German voices closer, flashlight beams cutting through the darkness. "They're gaining." Petro's voice cracked. "Then move faster." Stepan pushed forward, 250 yards. Kulik's hands found the end of the tunnel, light ahead, dawn breaking outside. He pulled himself through, collapsed on Soviet-controlled ground. The Ukrainians followed, all 8. Mykola unconscious but alive. Behind them, German voices echoed, but the Wehrmacht wouldn't cross into Soviet territory, not for 8 deserters. 06:07 hours. 17 minutes past Kulik's scheduled execution. No man's land stretched before them. Quarter-mile of open ground. Soviet positions visible beyond. Trenches, sandbags. The red flag of the 62nd Army. "Strip the uniforms," Stepan ordered. "Everything German. Now." They discarded Wehrmacht gear. 8 Ukrainians in civilian clothes, hands raised. Kulik led them forward. At 06:24 hours, Soviet sentries spotted them. "Halt! Identify yourselves!" Kulik raised his hands. "Ivan Kulik, sniper, 62nd Army, 13th Guards. I'm bringing prisoners." "Kulik is dead. Executed this morning." "Check your records. Sergeant Volkov's spotter, 187 confirmed kills." Silence. Then, "Approach slowly. Hands up." They walked forward. Soviet soldiers emerged from trenches, rifles aimed. A lieutenant approached, weapon ready. "You're Kulik?" "Yes." "You look like shit." "I was captured yesterday. These men helped me escape." The lieutenant studied the Ukrainians. "They're wearing German boots." "They were Wehrmacht conscripts. They deserted, killed 4 German guards to free me." "Deserters." The lieutenant's face hardened. Or spies. They saved my life. NKVD will decide that. The Ukrainians were disarmed, hands bound, marched to a command post. Kulik walked beside them, free but under guard. At 0809 hours, they reached 62nd Army Headquarters. Major Sokolov, intelligence officer, met them at the entrance. He looked at Kulik, then at the Ukrainians. Kulik, we thought you were dead. Germans thought so too. And these 8? Ukrainian conscripts. Wehrmacht forced them into service. They deserted. Helped me escape. Sokolov lit a cigarette. His face was stone. Or their German plants. Infiltrators. Stepan spoke in Russian. We risked our lives to help him. Shut up. Sokolov's voice could freeze water. You wear German boots. You speak German. You admit you served the Wehrmacht. By definition, you're traitors. We were conscripted at gunpoint. Many men claim that. Sokolov exhaled smoke. Last month, we accepted 12 Ukrainian deserters. Good stories, convincing tears. 3 days later, they killed 47 of our men, German infiltrators. His eyes were empty. I buried 47 bodies. I won't make that mistake again. Kulik stepped forward. Major, these men are different. That's what I said last time. Give me a week with them. Let me vouch. Your vouch means nothing against NKVD procedures. The NKVD will interrogate them properly. If they're innocent, they'll be assigned to a penal battalion. If they're spies, they'll be shot. Penal battalion? Stepan's voice broke. We just risked everything to escape the Germans. Now you're sending us to die anyway. You served the enemy. There are consequences. Sokolov turned to guards. Take them to the holding cells. Separately, no communication between prisoners. The Ukrainians were led away. Stepan looked back at Kulik once. His eyes said everything. We trusted you. We believed you. And this is what we get. Kulik stood there, watching them disappear into the bunker. His wrists throbbed. His legs barely functioned. Volkov was dead. He'd survived. He'd brought 8 men across 3 miles of enemy territory through flooded tunnels and machine-gun fire. And he delivered them to a different kind of execution. August 24th, 1942, 1147 hours. Kulik sat in a medical tent, watching a Soviet doctor wrap bandages around his wrists. Nerve damage, possible permanent loss of feeling in 3 fingers on his left hand. The doctor said he was lucky. Another hour bound, and he would have lost both hands entirely. Through the tent opening, Kulik could see the holding cells, concrete bunkers sunk into the ground. 8 Ukrainians locked inside, separated, no communication, NKVD protocol for suspected infiltrators. You should rest, the doctor said. You've been awake 36 hours. Kulik stood. His legs protested but functioned. I need to speak with Major Sokolov. The major gave orders. You're to remain here until... Kulik walked out. The doctor didn't stop him. He found Sokolov in the command bunker, studying maps. Radio chatter filled the space. Reports from the front, German positions, casualty counts. The siege of Stalingrad was grinding into its 4th month, both sides bleeding, neither willing to break. Major, Sokolov looked up. Sniper Kulik, you should be resting. Those 8 men saved my life. And you've reported that. Their testimony will be considered during interrogation. When does interrogation begin? The NKVD arrives tomorrow morning. 0600 hours. Sokolov returned to his maps. Until then, the prisoners remain isolated. And after interrogation, if they're cleared, they're assigned to a penal battalion, Strafbat, frontline assault troops, high casualty rate. Most don't survive their first month. And if they're not cleared, they're shot. Kulik's fists clenched. They're not spies. You've said that multiple times. Sokolov lit a cigarette. But you're not an interrogator. You're a sniper. You see the world through a scope. One target, one solution. The NKVD sees patterns. Infiltration tactics. He exhaled smoke. Last month, we accepted 12 Ukrainian deserters. Good stories. Convincing tears. 3 days later, they killed 47 of our men. German infiltrators. Kulik stepped closer. These men are different. That's what I said last time. Sokolov's voice went flat. Then I buried 47 bodies. I gave the order to trust those 12 deserters. 47 Soviet soldiers died because of my mistake. I won't make it again. So innocent men die instead? Maybe, But if they're spies and I let them live, 47 more die. That's the calculation. Sokolov turned back to his maps. The Soviet Union has lost 20 million people in this war. 20 million. The Germans are 50 miles from Moscow. Stalingrad is surrounded. We're losing. And in that environment, we cannot afford sentiment. 15:23 hours. Kulik stood outside the holding cells. A Soviet guard, young, 18 maybe, stood at the entrance, rifle across his chest. I need to speak with the prisoners. No visitors. Major Sokolov's orders. I'm not a visitor. I'm a witness. I need to verify details for their interrogation tomorrow. The guard hesitated. Major Sokolov said, I'll take responsibility. Open the cell. The guard unlocked the door. Cell number 3. Inside, Stepan Koval sat against the wall, hands still bound. His face was hollow, exhausted. When he saw Kulik, something flickered in his eyes. Hope? Anger? Both. You came. Kulik nodded. I'm trying to help. Help? Stepan's voice was flat. We're locked in Soviet cells awaiting execution. How exactly are you helping? The NKVD interrogates you tomorrow. If you tell them the truth. The truth. Stepan laughed. A harsh, broken sound. The truth is, we served the Wehrmacht for 11 months. We wore German uniforms. We ate German rations. We followed German orders. That's the truth. And the truth will get us shot. Not if I vouch for you. Your vouch means nothing. The major said so. Kulik sat across from him. Then tell me what I can do. Stepan was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled something from his pocket. The photograph. His wife. His daughter. Creased. Water-damaged from the tunnel. Oksana's face barely visible now. When they shoot me, will you send this to my wife? Tell her I tried to get home. Tell her I didn't die serving Germans. Tell her. His voice broke. Tell her I died trying to do the right thing. Kulik took the photograph. I'll tell her, but you're not dying tomorrow. You can't promise that. No. But I can try. August 25th, 1942, 05:47 hours. The NKVD arrived in 2 black trucks, 6 officers. The lead interrogator was Captain Yezhov, mid-40s, face like stone, eyes like a predator evaluating prey. Major Sokolov met them at the command post. Captain, the prisoners are ready. Yezhov nodded. 8 Ukrainian deserters, 1 Soviet sniper. I've read the reports. This shouldn't take long. How long? 4 hours for all 8. Then we'll have our conclusions. Kulik approached. Captain, I need to be present during interrogation. Yezhov looked at him. You're Sniper Kulik? Yes. You have 187 confirmed kills. Impressive record, but you're not an interrogator. This is NKVD business. These men saved my life. You need to stay out of the way. Yezhov's voice was iron. Major Sokolov, ensure Sniper Kulik remains in his quarters during interrogation. That's an order. 2 guards escorted Kulik to a barrack, locked him inside. He sat on a bunk staring at Stepan's photograph. Oksana's face, 8 months old. She'd be walking now, maybe talking, asking where Papa was. Outside, through a small window, Kulik could see the interrogation bunker, NKVD officers entering. One by one, the Ukrainians were brought in. Stepan first, then Andriy, then Taras. 4 hours, Yezhov had said. Kulik waited. 1147 hours, 6 hours later, Kulik found Captain Yezhov smoking outside the interrogation bunker. The captain's uniform was pristine despite 6 hours of work. His face showed nothing. Captain, about Andriy and Mykola. Their stories don't match. Yezhov's voice was tired. Not cruel, just tired. Bondar claimed his brother disappeared in May, but the Wehrmacht unit he named was disbanded in April. Shevchenko described a training facility in Poland that doesn't exist according to German documents we've captured. Maybe they're just scared and misremembering. Or maybe they're German plants with bad cover stories. Yezhov exhaled smoke. I can't risk 47 more Soviet lives on maybe. So you execute them. So I execute them. Yezhov looked at him. You've killed 187 Germans. How many were innocent conscripts? How many were just following orders? Did you hesitate? Kulik said nothing. Neither do I. 12:03 hours. The door opened. Major Sokolov entered. His face was unreadable. It's done. And Captain Yezhov has made his determination. Of the 8 prisoners, 6 have been cleared for assignment to Strafbat 227, Penal Battalion. They report to the front line tomorrow morning. And the other two? Sokolov's silence answered. Who? Andrei Bondar and Mykola Shevchenko, classified as enemy infiltrators. Execution scheduled for 1300 hours. 12:58 hours. 2 minutes to execution. Kulik stood outside the command bunker. 50 yards away, the execution yard. A concrete wall. Bullet marks from previous executions pockmarked the surface. Andrei and Mykola stood tied to 2 posts, blindfolded. Andrei's lips moved, praying. Maybe. Kulik couldn't tell from this distance. An NKVD firing squad, 6 soldiers, stood at attention. Young men, professionals. This was routine for them. Captain Yezhov gave commands. His voice carried across the compound, clinical, efficient. This wasn't his first execution, wouldn't be his last. Kulik wanted to look away, forced himself to watch. These men had saved his life, killed German guards for him, nearly drowned in a flooded tunnel for him. The least he could do was witness their deaths. He thought about the German cellar. Andrei had argued against helping him, called it suicide. He'd been right. 1300 hours. Ready. 6 rifles raised in unison. The firing squad commander's face was blank. No emotion, just orders. Aim. Andrei's body tensed, shoulders pulled back. Mykola didn't move, already resigned. Kulik gripped the wall beside him. His damaged fingers screamed. He didn't care. Fire! The volley echoed across the compound. Both men jerked against their bindings, slumped forward. Silence. The squad commander approached, checked for pulses, nodded to Yezhov. Dead. 13:42 hours. Kulik found Stepan in the barracks reserved for Strafbat soldiers, 6 Ukrainians, Stepan, Taras, Petro, and 3 others whose names Kulik still didn't know. They sat on bunks, silent. When Stepan saw Kulik, he stood. Andrei and Mykola, dead. Stepan sat back down, slowly, like his legs had stopped working. So that's it. We save you. We risk everything. And 2 of us die anyway. I tried. You tried. Stepan's voice was empty. And here we are, 6 survivors, assigned to a penal battalion. Do you know what that means? Frontline assault. Suicide missions. We're sent in first. No support. No backup. Clear minefields with our bodies. Draw enemy fire so regular troops can advance. The NKVD figures were expendable. Former Wehrmacht. Tainted. Might as well use us to soak up bullets. How long is your assignment? Until we're cleared of suspicion, or until we're dead. Statistically, that's 6 weeks. Kulik pulled out Stepan's photograph, handed it back. Then survive 6 weeks. Get home to Oksana. Stepan stared at the photograph, his daughter's face barely visible through water damage. You really think we'll survive? I survived 187 kills. You can survive 6 weeks. You had a choice. We don't. September 3rd, 1942. 9 days later, Kulik returned to active duty. His wrists still hurt, but he could hold a rifle, could pull a trigger, could kill. He was assigned a new spotter, Private Konstantin Orlov, 19 years old, nervous, inexperienced, not Volkov, would never be Volkov. On his 3rd day back, Kulik made his 188th kill. A German officer, 740 yards, clean headshot. Orlov marked it in the notebook. How do you do it? Do what? Kill without hesitation, without doubt. Kulik thought about Andrei and Mykola, tied to posts, blindfolded, executed by their own side. You don't think, he said. You just pull the trigger. September 14th, 1942, 20 days after Stepan's assignment to Strafbat 227. A runner found Kulik in his sniper nest. Penal Battalion 227 is requesting support. They're pinned down near Factory District 3. Heavy casualties. Kulik grabbed his rifle. How many left? Unknown. Radio contact intermittent. Kulik and Orlov moved through the ruins. 2 miles to Factory District 3. German machine gun positions everywhere. The Strafbat had been sent to clear them. Standard suicide assignment. At 16:27 hours, Kulik found them. What was left of them? 11 bodies. Soviet soldiers. Strafbat armbands. 3 survivors crouched behind a destroyed tank. One of them was Stepan. Kulik. Stepan's voice was raw. What are you doing here? Heard you needed support. Kulik scanned for German positions. Where's Taras? Petro. Dead. 2 weeks ago. First assignment. Stepan's hands shook. Out of 23 men in our unit, 3 of us are left. Kulik found the German machine gun nest, 680 yards, his preferred range. He lined up the shot. "Don't move," he told Stepan. "I'll handle this." One shot. The German gunner dropped. Kulik adjusted. Second shot. The loader fell. "Go," Kulik ordered. "Get to Soviet lines, now." Stepan and the two other survivors ran. Kulik covered them. 3 more Germans. 3 more shots. All hits. At 17:04 hours, Stepan reached Soviet lines. Alive? October 17th, 1942, 63 days after Stepan's assignment to Strafbat 227. A runner found Kulik. Soldier Stepan Koval, Penal Battalion 227. He's completed his assignment, requesting discharge. Where is he? Medical tent. Wounded, but alive. Kulik found Stepan in the medical tent. Left arm in a sling. Shrapnel wounds across his face. Thinner than before. Eyes haunted, but alive. "You made it." Stepan nodded. 63 days. 23 men in our unit. 1 survived. Me. He pulled out the photograph. Oksana's face barely visible now. "They're discharging me, sending me home. What will you do?" "Find my wife. Find my daughter. Try to forget the last year ever happened." Stepan extended his hand. "You saved my life, Kulik. Twice. Once in that German cellar. Once 2 weeks ago at Factory District 3. Thank you." Kulik shook his hand. "Go home to Oksana." After he left, Kulik sat alone in the medical tent. Volkov was dead. Andrei and Mikola were dead. Taras and Petro were dead. 20 other Strafbat soldiers were dead. 187 Germans were dead by his hand. But Stepan Koval was alive, and he was going home to his daughter. Maybe that was enough. Epilogue, June 19th, 1944. Warsaw, Poland. Ivan Kulik died during the Warsaw Offensive. A German sniper, 680 yards. Ironic, given that was his preferred range. He had 237 confirmed kills. His body was never recovered. Maria Kulik received notification 3 weeks later. She never remarried. Alexei grew up without a father, but with stories. Stories of a man who killed 237 Germans, who was captured, who escaped, who tried to do the right thing, even when the right thing was impossible. November 1942. Lviv, Ukraine. Stepan Koval returned home. His wife was alive. His daughter Oksana was 15 months old, walking, talking, asking where Papa had been. He never told her about the Wehrmacht, never told her about the German uniform, never told her about the flooded tunnel or the executions or the 63 days in Strafbat. He told her about a Soviet sniper who saved his life by telling him the truth. Lviv, independent Ukraine. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Ukrainian historians accessed NKVD archives. They found records of 8 Ukrainian deserters interrogated in August 1942, 2 executed as spies, 6 assigned to penal units, 5 killed in combat within 9 weeks. 1 survivor, Stepan Koval. Discharged October 17, 1942, vouched for by sniper Ivan Kulik. The historians found Koval's daughter, Oksana. She was 49 years old, a teacher in Lviv. She remembered her father's stories. He said a Soviet sniper taught him the most important lesson of the war, she told them. The truth is stronger than propaganda, and sometimes saving 1 life is worth more than killing 200.